Money Business Insights. Money Business Insights at Money. For business ideas and insights on Money FM, your business radio. Money Business Insights.
You need to be able to create value with part of your salary so that you have a retainer. That's how you create wealthy people in a nation. Okay? Not just consume all the money, have a nice party, shipwe, ngashapwa, you now look around and start saying, hey, what's going on? But what you need to realize that someone else invested in a business that made you lose that money. They enticed you.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Because it's not like you took
themselves.
matches and burnt the money. You gave it to somebody else. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you felt that person needed that money more than you. What you needed was the service that they were providing. Now, I'm going to deal with this issue from a Karl Marx point of view. But there's an element for the 21st century that changes the way we should think about what Karl Marx was trying to say. When Karl Marx was speaking, he was speaking in a labor-intensive environment. Okay? The time when labor defined the price of a commodity. It was the main ingredient to decide how much the product or service will cost. Now things have changed. We're in an information age where things have actually changed. So when we start breaking down some of this information that I am about to share, okay, for instance, what is the means of production? Now, we'll use the economics point of view. In economics and sociology, the means of production are physical and non-financial inputs used in the production of goods and services with economic value. These include raw materials, facilities, machinery, tools used in production of goods and services. Why do I like this definition and why have I bothered with the means of production? It's because while we're excited that there's a paradigm shift and people are starting to invest in Zambia, we need to realize that in order to still maintain the wealth and not miss out, right, we need to control the means of production. Okay? We need to control the means of production. Now, what are the factors of production? Land, other natural resources, labor, factories, building machinery, tools, raw materials, and enterprise. Let me give you a practical example. For quite some time, Zambia has ignored investing in an oil refinery or fuel refinery, right?
Oh, I remember we tried when we saw that black sludge coming out of the lower Zambezi. We sent it for analysis and we never pursued that.
Now, here's the point. We already have an old refinery, what we call refinery, what someone told me who was more technical said, look, it's just a separator, right? Refinery means you're adding value to the crude oil. That's why you find that South Africa's got different types of fuel because their processing is much better in the way they refine the fuel. Okay, certain cars can't even use the petrol or diesel that is in this country. It's too dirty. So you have to add an additive that can help, like liquid moly, that can help the combustion to become better for the car and help performance. Now, the debate around the refinery that we have in Ndola, right? There's been a debate to either upgrade it or just build a whole entire new refinery that's more modern. Whether we'll choose to build it in Mwinilunga or Solwezi, that's entirely up to us. And the reason is simple. Mwinilunga, because of Jimbe access from Angola, as we buy from Angola, because they say we use sweet something crude oil, which is not compatible with what Angola is producing. But I'm aware that Angola produces 5 different types of crude oil. So you pick your preference, and that crude is dependent on what your economy is biased to. We are a petrol-related kind of country. So diesel is 30% of the crude that comes, right? So now, what we normally do is just separate the crude from the paraffin, the oil. That's why someone said in a blunt way, just said, look, it's not a refinery, it's just a separator. Yeah, we call it refinery, but the idea is to refine it, to purify it, to improve the quality of the product and actually add value, serious value. Okay? Yeah. So now, the other debate is we haven't had, from what people were saying, it's alleged that we haven't been able to procure the crude. What we've had is oil marketing companies being allowed to import finished products. right? Which in a way affected the pricing, because when the kwacha was losing value, automatically what was happening is that they were making losses. So now they started complaining through the transporters. That's why you saw those shortages. It's not that there was a disruption in production. It's just that they were making losses because at the rate that kwacha was losing value. So this week it'll be here, next week by the time they're trying to procure again, they would have made losses. So I'm wondering what's going on now that we're sitting between 17 and 16 kwacha.
Indeed.
Who's smiling all the way to the bank. So what this does is, when we talk about the means of production, now we're asking, do we then sit and tell ourselves, let's invest long term, put refineries together, put a pipeline, set up in Solwezi from Angola? Or do we continue enjoying the luxury of importing finished product and having to pay a bit more? Not even a bit, a whole lot more, right? And then miss out on the value that it gives to the economy, because this is one of the key indicators for inflation. Because the moment fuel prices go up, commodities will automatically go up. So now that's a means of production. Do we control the means of production? The answer in this space is because when importing, and the largest commodity that we import is fuel, okay, we lose more dollar to fuel purchases.
Yeah.
So with the appreciation of the kwacha, what we're now saying is that we're now going to need less kwacha to get the dollars to buy the fuel. So can something be done in order to come up with a much better fuel procurement system that will help us procure cheaper fuel? So do we invest in more trucks to bring in the fuel, or do we invest in a refinery? Or do we do the trucks first and then the refinery becomes your long-term plan? You get it? Now, when we follow the principle that Karl Marx basically was talking about, he talks about capitalism. And in those days, capitalism basically refers to private sector owning the means of production. Right?
Yeah.
So now, if you want the community to own the means of production, then you're asking for communism. Now, there's a point where his recommendation actually comes to fruition. So we saw China become a communist state. So communism has got its own pitfalls. That's why we have a much more liberal economy. So we still need the private sector to come through and do what they need to do in order for production, the means of production, to get better. Now, the reason why capitalism was not entertained is because it's labor intensive and cripples labor. It pays you enough to survive. That's the reason why capitalism wasn't working very well in Karl Marx's days. Okay, they pay you just enough to survive, not enough to make you a successful person. So you basically become a slave. Now, when you analyze it from that point of view, you're a consuming country. You're not owning the means of production. What does that put? Where does that put you? You're equivalent to an employee that is being paid enough to survive. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have deliberately given up on the means of production, the key means of production, the ones that can drive the economy in the right direction. We gave up and said, you know what, we're just going to import these things. And that's where privatization actually played its big role, where we gave up and said, you know, production out. We'll just buy finished goods without addressing the source of income. Because when industries closed, there were high job losses.
Money Business Insights. Money Business Insights at Money. For business ideas and insights on Money FM, your business radio. Money Business Insights.